Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that you are having a glorious Sunday. And if you don't know who I am Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You can learn a little bit more about me by heading over to my website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. Also, maybe checking out my witchy shop that I own with James over at Light of Riga. It is Desert Cauldron, all one word, over on Etsy. And hey, if you're looking for a crystal companion, do hit up Light of Riga over on Etsy as well. Those links are all down below. All right, so let me know, what do you guys have cooked up for today? What do you have going on this Sunday, perhaps this week? Do you have any plans for the Lions Gate? We're also in an 8 year, so this is like an 8 time. I have actually a channeling and a few readings to do on the Lions Gate, which is pretty cool. But yeah, let me know how you guys are doing. I was thinking about taking you guys outside today, but I'm not sure if these clouds are gonna last. So once that sun comes out, this phone is toasted. All right, so let's see who else here. Angela's here. Hello. And our mighty, mighty moderators, Susie and Kayla, Lisa, our other mighty mod. Hey, hey. Janine says, hi, Susie, Lisa, and other beautiful people. Hello to you too. Susie says, love, love, love the outfit. Well, thank you. I was feeling very 90s today. I feel like I just stepped out of time warp in high school. Like, but anyway, I don't get to wear these too often, but these are little earrings that I had made. And it was like it came from like a little headband that had feathers on it that I bought, but like the feathers keep falling out, and I didn't want to just throw the feathers away. So I was like, what could I do with these? So I turned them into earrings. So, so this is like overalls are so cute, dude. I can't get enough of overalls. So next I'm looking like for overall pants, but those are always harder to find because I'm kind of tall. So it ends up being like overall high waters. But anyway, thank you, thank you. Okay, you guys. So let's get started with today's fun chat, as it is always fun, and I love hanging out with you guys on Sundays. So hopefully you guys had a wonderful Lanasa, um, or Lammas, or first harvest, or the halfway point between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox, whatever you want to call it. I hope you had a good time. James and I actually spent the morning doing a bit of trenching while we still had our neighbor's digger machine. It's like I know it's like a jackhammer, but it has a shovel on the end, so it like really like shovels and like hammers into really hard surfaces, like here, because it's mostly rock and sandstone, and basically it was all underwater here. So there's a lot to dig through. There's a lot of like seashell and everything in our ground, but also a mix of like caliche and clay. So we dug some a trench from our spigot where we have our creek going, which is behind me. You can see that there. But we connected it to going downhill, since water travels best downhill, and we had it flood the garden, kind of like the inundation of the Nile. So we used a cue from the Nile River to help kind of flood the garden a little bit, perhaps in the mornings. That way, it has a good amount of moisture all day long. The corn really seemed to like it. Our pumpkin vine is starting to take off, so I'm really excited about that. Um, the crookneck squash and the butternut and the butterball squash really didn't take off. The seeds didn't really burst, but um, also, what's behind me? Let's see if we go that way. There it is. So that pot has our zucchini and our carrots in it, and the zucchini are actually doing really well. As you can see, they're very green from here. So the monsoon rains have been fabulous. Lunasa was fabulous, digging that trench. Maybe not so much fun, but the plants really seem to like it. And we did a little ritual, or I did a little ritual. Did a lot of like thanks and gratitude ceremony. Did a meditation, did a little bit of shadow work and source eating, and then I baked a lot. I made blueberry pound cake and apple cinnamon oatmeal cookies, and we still had sugar cookies cutouts left over from the cookies I made in honor of Miss Squirrel. which I guess I will tell that little story before we pull our cards today. So today, by the way, we are going to be looking at a message from the Lionsgate portal. And we are also going to be looking at how to channel. So I'm really only going to give it from my perspective. Obviously, there's a multitude of ways that people can channel, but I'm just going to offer my insight on how I became a channeler, because I believe it's something that everybody does. Some people don't even know they're doing it. And so, yeah, I thought I would just have a little chit chat about that since we tied in our poll. So if you don't know what the poll is and you're new to the channel or you're watching the replay, I have a public poll that I put out on my YouTube channel page. That same poll goes to Patreon and to my YouTube members so that they get an extra vote for as a thank you for their support. And it ended up being a tie between people wanting to learn how to channel for themselves, but also a message from the Lionsgate. So we'll do both. And I think I forgot to change the description from to be announced to those are the things that we are doing, but I'll change it after this. So while we're on the topic of my YouTube members, I do want to thank my YouTube members. You notice them, they have a little colored kitty head next to their name. So Lisa, Kayla, Nancy, and Astrid, thank you so much. Mwah! I love you guys. Also to all of my subscribers, everybody who hangs out during the live chats, everybody who comments, likes our videos, all of that, we appreciate it. Also my patrons, my lovelies, Myrna and Karen and Liesel and Heather, Paulu, Lily, Dana, Jamie, Kayla, Surian, Brandy, Brian, Jason. I love all of you guys. So thank you, thank you. All right, let's see. Everybody saying yum. Kayla saying Miss Squirrel. Yes, okay, so our Miss Squirrel, you guys know her. I've had her on the live chats actually a few times. You guys to see her running around. She used to run over and see who was coming up our driveway, which was usually our neighbor. So she'd go check him out, make sure he's okay to be here, and then she'd be like, "He's all clear. He could be here." But you know, she was like the matriarch of this hill. Everybody knew her. She was like the news broadcaster. Any little happenings, she had the dirt on it. She had the deets. And whatever she knew, she told the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays would go flying all over the place, like spreading the good word. Um, and one day we didn't see her for, it was unusual to like not see her for a couple days. Maybe one day we won't see her, but that's because she's out and about in her various different condos. But we hadn't seen her in a few days, and we were starting to be a little concerned. You know, I was going all over, I was doing my special call that I have for her. And she wasn't coming out. I thought, well, she wasn't pregnant because she had just given birth to a litter of babies maybe like a month ago. So I was like, so I tapped in and she basically led us to where she was. And she wasn't doing well. She was being taken care of by the rats in a little rat hut. But what had happened was this, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday last week, or Thursday last week. Um, there was a hawk in the area. I do remember her sounding her alarm. She was like making this weird call that she makes when there's danger, like either a snake or a hawk or some other predator, just to let the whole forest know to be on alert or to go into their little homes and, you know, take care. So she sounded her alarm. I was in here, and normally I always come out when she sounds her alarm because I want to see what the problem is. But something just inside of me was like, "Don't go out there! Don't go out there!" And so I didn't. She stopped her call, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went about my day, and she said that it was shortly after that. She went running to the other side of the hill over there where she has another hut and where some of her children are. And she saw that there was a hawk. So she drew the attention of the hawk away, away from the rats, away from her babies. The hawk grabbed her. She was able to shimmy free from its talons, but she fell pretty far to the ground. So she sustained basically life-threatening injuries. She had kind of sort of pulled herself into one of the huts where the rats were taking care of her, where we found her. Um, and she just kind of held on for a few days. It seemed like she had a lot of internal bleeding and broken bones. And so she held on basically till we got there and we said our goodbyes. We thanked her for everything, that she was basically selfless until the end. She had sacrificed herself back when there was a rattlesnake here, and she had killed it trying to save everything on this hill, to protect everything on this hill. She did it with a hawk. She put herself in harm's way again to protect not just her babies, but everybody else. Um, so yeah, I was pretty sad after that. I was pretty broken up because that was my like forest sister. That was my, forest mama, my friend, and I know it may be difficult for some people who maybe don't live around a whole lot of wild animals or have pets to understand like the connection humans can have with animals that we can have with all things, with plants, with crystals, that they're all basically versions of us, they're fragments of us. So of course, we can forge deep relationships. So I had a pretty, I would say, close relationship with her. I mean, she would come right onto my hand. Like we were pretty tight, we were pretty close. And so I made my Lanasa altar in honor of her. Um, and I let her spirit basically guide me and how to set up my altar. Um, and then the next day, there was a squirrel. It's one of her oldest children. So she had two kids about a year ago. So now they're full grown adults. And the oldest one kind of looks just like her. So, and I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl, really. I mean, I don't get can't really see their little privates, so I can't tell. I could normally tell who Miss Squirrel was because her nipples were very prominent because she was always breastfeeding. Um, but this squirrel who looks just like her, same kind of coloring. In fact, I thought it was her. I thought, oh my gosh, she never did die and she came back to life. Because I did my call, the squirrel came running right up to me, which normally her children don't do. Her children are a little bit more skittish. But it was Miss Squirrel that was always very comfortable with James and I. And so I thought it was her because she came, or he or she came running up to me. I had blueberries in my hand, ate the blueberries right out of my hand, just like Miss Squirrel, but I was looking for her markings that I usually see on her face, like her, every animal has their own like unique signature, according to their markings. And I didn't see her markings, nor did I see the scars left behind from the snake encounter. So I knew that it wasn't Miss Squirrel. This obviously was one of her children, but I just thought it so odd that all of a sudden her child was doing exactly what the mother did, which was come right up to me, come because I called, did my special call. And it just felt like I wasn't sad anymore. And in fact, I was like questioning like reality. I was like, is that Miss Squirrel in an alternate reality? Like, what is going on? Because I swear this is Miss Squirrel, but it's not. It's one of the kids. Um, and so it's just been difficult because there's a child now that's acting just like her but doesn't look like her, you know? And so it's like I'm sad, but I'm also confused and I'm not sad. And also I see her spirit everywhere. So it's been interesting. But you definitely can tell that the energy on the hill has shifted since her passing. So, obviously something did happen. And the day that she passed, no animals were out, like absolutely none. There was a couple of blue jays, but it seemed like they were just passing around the news of what happened, but no animals came out. Sammy didn't come out, our bunny rabbit. All of her children were surrounding her, like none of them would come up on the hill. They would not leave their mother's side. Um, and now we have a hill full of her babies that we have to take care of. But but it's just like I thought it was a wonderful Lunasa because I could be grateful that I could have such a wonderful relationship with a animal like that, basically another version of myself. Um, and I thanked her for everything that she taught everybody here. I do know that she had kind of an expanded consciousness, for a 2D being. She came into our meditations quite a bit. When I would do yoga, she'd come up onto the yoga mat and like kind of sit there and watch me do yoga. um, and it was just the act of being selfless, the act of knowing one's power and standing in one's power, being unabashedly herself. She didn't care about anyone or anything, like we do as humans. We're always worried about what other people think about us and, what people might be saying about us. But she just, she teaches us just to be ourselves. And if everybody is just a reflection of us, why would we care what other people think about us? It's just ourselves thinking about ourselves, right? So, yeah, I learned a lot from her, and I probably will continue to learn a lot from her, but now in the astral, and also from her kids and all the other animals running around here and flying around here. But yeah, I wanted to share that. That was also part of the Lunasa celebration. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm like sad at the same time. I'm not sad, and at the same time, like, wow, what's going on with her kid? So let's see, let's go back here. Oh, Patrick is here. Hello, hello. Susie saying, so sorry. We honor Miss Squirrel, sending hugs. Thank you, thank you. Janine says, I adore squirrels. Susie says, do you feel she will reincarnate? Um, when I was connecting with her spirit, she said that she would not be reincarnating. She felt like a lot of her learning that she could do now that she wasn't in like a 2D body. She didn't feel like inhabiting another vessel and learning that way. She felt like the learning was a lot faster in the energetic realm. And she said that her plan was also ascension, for her as well. I mean, she was trying to do that when she was here. So she says she's gonna stay in the energetic realm for a while. So I said, okay, I'll see you there, babe. um, Patrick says, thanks for sharing. Loved it. Very welcome. Ram Sharon, we will be doing super chats and super stickers later. So if you're still interested in having a card pulled for your question, I wouldn't mind doing super chats and super stickers towards the end of the chat today before we do our guided meditation. Kayla saying hugs. Patrick says, I know what you feel like. Most of us do it the same as you. Um, yeah, it's I mean, I know you guys basically understand. You guys all have close relationships with like everything around you. Um, but it's sometimes when I'm talking to people and they say, "Oh, but it was just an animal or it was just a cat or it was, just a squirrel." And to me, I don't get angry. Obviously, everybody has different points of view. I mean, that's why we're all here to have different perspectives, right? And to be seeing the world from different eyes, that all helps the collective. But to me, it just is interesting to see how sometimes we can have such a disconnect with ourselves. But again, like I said, we all learn from each other and we're all meant to have varying perspectives. So I just get a little discombobulated when I'm like, oh yeah, maybe you don't understand, the connection people can have with animals, and that's fine. Um, but yeah, I do miss my friend, and it does feel kind of weird when her baby runs over just like her and has been eating out of my hands just like her lately since she passed, which her kids have never done before. So it's not like they built up trust. And I mean, they trust us. It's just they don't let us get too close because they have their instincts as well. They have their own little ego program. They're wild animals, which is probably a good thing. They should keep their instincts about them because, sometimes we don't know when we're right on top of them and we almost step on these animals because they camouflage in. So they should be wary of us humans sometimes. We're not always so cognizant. Um, but it's just like my heart breaks sometimes because it's like, oh wow, it's like Miss Squirrel, but it's not her. Um, but in a way, maybe it is her. Maybe it's her working through her kid. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tap in. I'm not sure. um, Lily is sending some love. Thank you, thank you. And by the way, hello, hello, hello. All right. So, like I said, just wanted to share that with you. So hey, let's get to this Lionsgate portal message. Yeah. Okay. So we have the Lionsgate coming up on the 8th, which I believe is Thursday. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm trying to think of like when I have all my readings and channelings to do. So yes, Thursday, and the reason it's called a Lion's Gate portal is because there are a series of planets, including Sirius, that are in alignment around the time of the Leo season, which we are now in Leo season. Um, and it's the kind of energetic height of that portal is on the 8th. So we think of 8 as being the number of infinity, the number of the collective consciousness, the, what connects us all. So we have 8, 8, and then we are also in an 8 year. So you take a 2024, you add up all the numbers, basically all together, it comes out is 8. Also divisible by the number 4, 4 also being like a very stable number and a very significant number to many native cultures, including my own. So a lot of people see it as a time for abundance, a time for really finding one's power or rediscovering one's power, a time for creating something new. Everybody can see it a little bit differently. And we may wonder, does it have something to do with the calendar, or is this something that we create as a collective consciousness? Perhaps it is us, that brings the planets into alignment, because remember, everything within is without as well. We create our own reality. So if the entire collective is feeling a certain way at a time, maybe not everybody understands what a Lion's Gate is, but perhaps it's the collective that shifts and changes at this time every year. And every year, those planets go into alignment. And every year, basically, we create our own portal. Perhaps it's the collective consciousness's own portal. But sometimes we may see it as something external, that it's because of the planets doing X, Y, and Z, because of all of that, that is the portal. For really, maybe what if it was us? What if it was the collective that was creating all of that? And I think that segues nicely into what our next channeling is. We are going to channel astrology. We want to know what beings outside of this dimension might have as far as perspective. And remember, that's all it is with all these beings. They all have various perspectives. They all have their own biases, just like we do. They have their own agendas, just like we do. Some are positive, some are negative, some are neutral, some have no polarity at all, depending on their dimensional frequencies. Some have dimensional frequencies within the cube. Some have dimensional frequencies outside the cube. That's why we like doing these channelings. But I think you guys are going to find it interesting. We're actually going to do 2 takes, because the first take, James had so many more questions that he thought of after the channeling. He's like, I should have asked this. I should have asked this. So we have a video, but I think we're going to record another video today to see if that'll be a better channeling than the first one we did, because he was so disappointed that his brain went blank and he forgot tons of questions that we wanted to ask. So I think you guys might be interested in that, channeling astrology. So stay tuned tomorrow, 6 a.m. Yes, had to think about it. All right, our girl Peg is here. Susie's so wonderful. So yeah, we hadn't watched that other video back yet, so I don't even remember what was said in the first video. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so on that note, let's go ahead and pull some cards and see what this Lion's Gate has for us. But I do encourage you guys to pull some cards as well, or runes, or use your pendulum, or good old-fashioned channeling, pulling down some messages from your higher self. Anybody who watches the replay, please do read the chat, as there are many wonderful messages in there. I feel like having all these multiple perspectives helps to create an even richer type of reading, instead of just being solely my higher self's perspective. So if you are using a deck, let us know what you guys are using. If you're using your pendulum or your runes, or you're just going to be channeling, or bring down some information, let us know too. Susie sending James some love. Oh, our girl Heather is here. Silver Star said, make sure to hit the like. Simple way to say thank you. Just saying thank you. She says, Grand Rising, beautiful peeps. Hello to you too, Soul Sister. Patrick says, found a new way to remove the ego program. Oh, okay. Says, dive into your Akashic, delete the program over and over over there and remove it completely. It opened up a whole new world for me, just sharing. I can actually back that up. The I've gone to the Akashic and done that. I've also gone to the Cube Akashic. So that's basically the Matrix's Akashic records, and went straight to basically the Akashic of my ego and tried to delete the files there too. So give that a try also, Patrick. So yeah, totally, totally. That's awesome, dude. Okay, so Lisa has the Wandering Star Tarot. Excellent. Patrick said, oh, cool, thanks. Susie got Ace of Spades, which is the Ace of Swords for the 8-8 for me. All right. Oh, I forgot to mention what deck I'm using. I have the Wise Spell Wild Reflections Tarot. And this is the deck that when I got it, it was missing the Ace of Cups. So I had to return it to Amazon. And before I could return the deck that was the incorrect deck, the incomplete deck, this deck came in the mail. So I was like, thanks, Amazon, for being prompt. And when I went to UPS to go do the return, which I was in a whole line of everybody had Amazon returns, like everybody's standing there with like, you know, fanny packs and bras and cell phone covers and like all these things that, you know, they're returning for one reason or another. And the guy that works there, he's like trying to be cordial with everybody. He's like, oh, wow, so the fanny pack didn't work out for you, dude? Okay. And he tried to make a joke to this one guy. He's like, oh, I see, sir, the bra didn't work out for you. And the guy's like, he's like, all right then. And then the lady behind him was like, oh, don't worry. She said, I don't like racer back bras either. My, you know, if it's for your wife, I totally understand. Or it's like, it's so weird. Everybody was like so nosy and like what everybody was returning. And then the guy saw that I was returning a tarot deck and he says, ah, I see the deck didn't work out for you. And I said, oh, it was missing a card. And he says, ain't that the truth? He says, when you're missing a card, it makes it real hard to do those tarot readings. He goes, that can mean the difference between a good reading and a bad reading, right? And I was like, yeah, sure. He says, yeah, I had 3 customers come in just last week and they were trying to, you know, they had to return their decks in too because he says they're missing like 2 or 3 cards. He says, I tell you, these tarot companies got to get their stuff together. I was like, yeah, yeah, sure. It's just interesting because like I don't know, we're in I'm in a unique part of town because there's people that are real spiritual, real hippie like, but we also have like people who are very Mormon and people who are very Christian. And it's we're a unique blend of mountain folk. That's all. Yeah. We're unique. So anyway, it was fun. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Susie has Zolar's Astrological Tarot. Excellent, excellent. John is here. Hey, hey, John, what's up? Okay, so let's pull this message for us. What do we need to know about this Lionsgate? What can we embrace during this Lionsgate portal? Whether we're creating this portal or the portal was there before we came around, who knows? All we know is the energy's there and we have the ability to tap into it. So let's see what we need to know. I'm gonna pull 3 cards, but I'm feeling pulled to utilize another deck as well. I'm going to use the Spirit Animal Oracle. I feel like this just goes really well with it. Silver Star says, goodness, can't spell today. Hey, that's me every day. But I have less of an excuse. I was an English teacher. Actually, speaking of English, actually quite the opposite of English, I have been brushing up on my Spanish because, you know, I still understand Spanish. You know, I grew up, you know, everybody spoke Spanish around me. My nana was fluent in Spanish. I mean, she was from Mexico. And you know, I am Mexican, but I just, you know, up here, nobody really speaks Spanish. They speak Diné, which is like Navajo. People speak like the Apache language. There are a few people who speak Spanish around here, but I don't really hear like Spanish anymore, especially Mexican Spanish, which is closer to the border, which is where I was, you know, from. Um, so I was like feeling kind of saddened because James's mom is from Bolivia, and so she speaks like beautiful Spanish. And I feel bad because she has conversations with James in Spanish. They're always, chit chatting back and forth, but I have a hard time jumping into the conversation because although I know exactly what they're talking about, I can't I can't formulate all of my words together anymore. It's like when you haven't done something for so long that you kind of forgot how to do it a little bit. So I was like, okay, you know what? This is silly. I was like, let's go ahead and relearn how to speak Spanish. So I'm using that little Duolingo app, and I'm basically going over like all of Spanish again, all of my grammar, all of my past tense and my present tense and verbs and pronouns and all that stuff, like all over again. Um, and at first I like wanted to roll my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so remedial. I know how to do this. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to swallow our pride and we're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to do Spanish all over again. I was like, I'm going to learn how to speak it all over again. So it's like no reason for me to have poor Spanish grammar, you know. um, let's see. Lisa says the deck fired out the Ace of Swords. Whoa, was it Susie that had Susie had the Ace of Swords as well. Holy schmolies. Um, Silver Star says Duolingo, my husband read my mind. Susie said, this is great. John says, relearning can be harder than learning something in the first place. I'm proud of you for going for it. Yeah, and even James, every once in a while, he was like, doesn't this sound a little basic for you? This is a little beginnerish. And I was like, no, I'm starting at the very beginning and I'm going to pretend that I don't know. I said, so I'm just going to be open to just saying things properly. Because especially when we get into a rut of saying things incorrectly, because I used a lot of slang when I did speak Spanish, especially amongst my friends. And I know it was all improper. Like when I would actually run into somebody who actually was from Spain and spoke Spanish, España, it was like, they're like listening to me. They think like I'm some sort of like, you know, like I don't know what I'm saying because it was so full of slang. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it correctly this time. We're just learning Spanish correctly now. um, Patrick says, tune into your higher self and turn on the volume for Spanish. It's interesting, Patrick. In my dreams, when I dream, I do dream in Spanish. I dream in Italian, Arabic, and Spanish. So oftentimes that's the language I'm speaking in my dreams. And then when I wake up, I know what was said, but it's like me trying to do it in this waking dream. I'm like, up, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, somewhere in my subconscious and also in my higher self, it remembers how to speak all these languages. In fact, it probably knows all the languages of all the world plus animal languages because we're all one consciousness. So, of course, we could always tap in. Silver Star says, Tara, I'm finishing my GED at 43. It's all good. I'm taking my final test on Tuesday. Here we go. Virtual high five. All right. I'm so proud of you. Like, you don't know. I am so, so proud of you. And Janine says, from infinite wisdom of the chakras, I pulled wolf. Communication. Notice your ability to convey ideas through words and expression. Realize your unique power. Excellent. And Silver Star says, you go for it. Patrick says, we can all talk evenly our language. Ask your higher self. He or she knows them all. Absolutely, my friend. Susie congratulating Heather as well. Silver Star says, thank you. It's been a journey in itself. Lots of tears. You know what? Those tears turn into happy tears. And, you know, you, I'm so, so proud. You are doing it. And like Patrick said, and our friend John, it can be difficult, sometimes for us to swallow our ego or our pride because we think, oh, I'm above this or I'm too old for this. But you know what? We're never too old for anything. I mean, our age is just a linear matrix construct. And that's probably just the part of the matrix too, to keep us from actually learning something, is to tell us that we're too old to learn something, or I already learned that, so I don't need to learn it again. But when we get past that, as you know, you and we're all doing, that's how we really truly learn. That's how we really truly expand our consciousness, is to get over that thing that says I'm too old for this, or I already learned that. I don't, I'm already too smart for that, but that's just our ego, you know. um let's see, Janine says, um refine your particular channel, which may be connected to artistic, creative, spiritual, or interpersonal development. Beautiful message. Beautiful. John says, got my GED when I was raised, even though she was the CFO in her company. That is amazing. That is so cool. So cool. Dude, I love it. You guys are rad. I hope you know, like all of you. I don't know how, if you guys know how amazing each of you guys are. So just had to say that. Silver Star said, helps to eliminate limiting beliefs, for real. Exactly. Okay. Um, did I pull the cards that I wanted to? No. I want to pull one more. And then you'll finally be able to see what the heck the message is here. Okay, this one I'm using the Dreamgate Oracle. This is the one by Danielle Knoll that I won in the giveaway. And I am still going to do a review of it, but I love to work with my decks a lot before I do any sort of review. I want to be able to give an honest opinion. And I still am using the journal, so I want to be able to review that too. So give us some time, people. Okay. All right, now we have all our cards. Now let's look. Okay. I'm like, that's the one thing about overalls. I forget that they fall down on you. Okay, so let's see. From Y Spell, the Wild Reflections Tarot, we have the King of Pentacles. We have the Hermit. We have the Six of Pentacles. Dude, this is such a gorgeous deck, and it was $9 on Amazon. So, I mean, if you guys are interested, it's a pretty cheap deck. But it's not cheap at all. It's got gilded edging, and it's got like really good cardstock. So I don't know how they charge only $9. Anyway, okay, so before I look at the other two cards, I just want to dive into this one. So again, this was the Six of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Hermit. And Janine said the Ace of Swords with Wolf Clarity, truth, breakthrough, and expressing yourself, and determined to be heard. You got the Ace of Swords too. Whoa, dude. Okay, so this deck is the Wild Reflections by Y Spell, in case you guys are interested. Lisa drew the Ace of Swords again. Dude. Okay, one of you guys needs to draw a card on that. Why has so many people drawn the Ace of Swords for this Lionsgate portal? Could somebody draw a card on that? Because I want to know. Inquiring psychic minds want to know. Okay, so let me dive into this. Okay, so what's going on right now? I can't speak for every country, but maybe I'll speak on the United States since that's where I live. Um, a lot of people are feeling the money system, I would say, at the moment. Some people are looking to get a raise at their job. Some people are looking for jobs that pay better. Some people are feeling a little deterred with the housing market. James's dad is a real estate agent or sort of retired. I don't know. He can't figure out if he's retired yet or not. But he was saying that, like, for him, for people who are real estate agents, they notice that the housing market has kind of come to a standstill because people are waiting for the prices of homes to come down because things have become rather expensive here in the United States. Even quote unquote fast food is like $20-$30, for people that want to get a little quick something cheap, for themselves or their families. The grocery store has become quite expensive. With eggs, sometimes up here, eggs are $7 and some cents, which is crazy for a dozen eggs to be $7, so people are feeling this money program. And so people, at least collectively, the ego program might be saying, well, the only way to fix this money problem is for more money to come in. Like, I need to make more money. I need to have more money come my way. Maybe I need to hit the lottery. Maybe I get some windfall inheritance, and that will make my life feel less in the root chakra, where I feel this instability. Sometimes when that money program, gets pinched at, or poked at, we feel it in our root chakra, which is our feeling of safety, security, that is our foundation. And if we feel like I can't afford, you know, certain groceries, or I can't afford to go out to get a bite to eat, or let alone go to the cinema, or put gas in my vehicle, this starts to be felt collectively, where it starts to emanate. And so people might be saying, well, this country is headed for a collapse. And so part of it is like, yes, we do see that we're already in a recession, going into, if we're not already in a depression, but perhaps not quite the way people saw it in maybe like the 1920s, 1930s. But some of that could be the collective creating this money situation, as much as it's the money situation having us feel the way that we do. So it's like a symbiotic relationship, I would suppose, as within, so without. But with this Lionsgate portal, it seems like what it's saying is that we need to really take a look at our own individual money shadows. Instead of waiting for the world to fix our money shadows the way we feel uncomfortable, or I feel like my foundation is not safe at the moment, or I'm feeling, the pressures of money and having to pay for this. And I understand those are very real things. Putting gas in your car, I know, is a very real thing. Buying groceries, very real things, in this waking dream state. But also, we have to realize that if we are creating on our own reality, then we can also create a reality in where we're not feeling burdened by these things. So where are these burdens actually coming from? They come from past programming, things that need to be healed. And so that's what this Lionsgate, which is all about abundance, is trying to show us. And some people might be seeing abundance as, oh wow, I'm going to get tons of money, during this Lionsgate. But Lionsgate is like, hey, if you guys are the Lionsgate, you guys are the portal is within you, then you're saying, okay, then I have the ability to heal my own money shadows, my own money ego program, going into what Patrick was saying, going into the Akashic, maybe deleting that ego program, maybe going into the cubes Akashic, like, I had mentioned as well, and deleting that program there. And the more we try to reprogram it or delete it entirely, the more the world around us appears different. Remember, I was talking about perspective earlier, when there are people that, may not understand my perspective and connection with animals, and I might have a hard time understanding their perspective, but that's all it is perspective. And so when your perspective changes, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well then, I just now, somebody came by and gifted my family a ton of groceries. I didn't need money for that. And so we start to realize, oh, we can create the reality we want, and we may not necessarily need this middleman program, which is money. Money was put there to show us that we don't have any power. It says, no, the power is in this external thing. You want that thing over there. You want to take care of your family over there. You want food over there. You need the middleman to get you those things. If I think back onto my native ancestors, they didn't use money to go get food. They grew food. They wanted to put a roof over their heads. They built a roof over their heads, and so it was just a different way of seeing the world. And sure, our world looks a lot different than it did way back when, but the energy is the same. We can always create something different, but it all starts inside than it does outside. So yes, we may be looking at the news or Twitter or whatever is going on, and might be saying, oh, we're getting ready for a collapse. So there's this war starting, and there's this, and this might be coming back around, and all these other things. But that's all distraction away from what we could do within ourselves is let's heal that middleman program. Let's eliminate that one fear first, you know? And that's something that we are able to do. That's the abundance during this Lion's Gate, where we understand our own abundance. We were the abundant ones. We were the ones that brought what we needed to us. And however it comes to us, that's the creative part. But we don't need that middleman. Right now, that's part of the matrix. We are also in the matrix. That means that we can change the matrix if we wanted to. So, this is us reclaiming our power, rediscovering how powerful we actually are, like energetically speaking, spiritually speaking. We have power to heal that the matrix doesn't have the ability to do itself. You know, that's what makes us unique. So that's something that we can definitely get down with during this portal. Let me look at these other cards. Of course, I pulled the cat card. It's Leo, Lion's Gate. And it says, you are a natural healer. Your intuition is strong. You don't have to go with the crowd. Life supports you in every way. Did I literally not just say all of that? This is you guys. We have that feline, powerful Leo, Leonian energy in each and every one of us because we are a collective. So even if we have like quote unquote higher selves that are blue aliens, well, technically aliens, you know, blue avians, or maybe we're from Andromeda, or maybe, you know, we're a tall gray, or, you know, whatever we may be, we're all a collective consciousness. We're all the same stuff. We all come from the same stuff. We just have unique perspectives. So that means that we all have blue avian. We all have, you know, feline energy, or Lyran energy. We all have, you know, Andromedan energy. We have all of these energies. And it's just reminding yourselves that you guys are this too. All of us. Okay, and then lastly, that this was from the Dreamgate Oracle. We have moon casting. That's a beautiful image. It says cultivation, dream work, magic. So this is where we go inwards. This person going into basically their own intuition with these waters here, going into their own higher self, going inwards, finding the light within, speaking to that light that is our higher self, asking us what we need to heal, what we need to unblock, what we need to let go of that is preventing us from feeling abundant, safe, and secure in this present moment. And when we heal that, our reality truly does change. That's the law of the universe. It has to. What changes inside changes on the outside. What stays stagnant on the inside stays stagnant on the outside. That's just the way it happens. All right, let's go back here. Lily says we are, because we're forging ahead. Yes, that Ace of Swords. Susie resonates with that. John says intuitively, it feels like portals open, direct downloads. Yes. Liesl got the tower. Dude, that is my card of the year. Susie says, I drew the star, and in this deck, it is good fortune and hope, courage and confidence, and good health. All right. Love it. Patrick says that is real expensive. OMG. Silver Star says tender parts are being poked at, so we deal with it. Yep, yep, yep. And Susie says tower. Whee! All right, she went off to go grab her coffee. Silver Star said exactly 100. She said self-value is your abundance. Yep. And Silver Star said when they say it's all within you, they are not joking. Seriously. And John's like, literally. um, Patrick says, that is the only world I am living in, Leo as well. Around like full moons and new moons, and you know. Oh, Lisa says, hey, she's like, Tara loves 7 of Cups. Dude, I was just talking about dreams. What the heck, man? All right, this is great. I love what we have going on with the Lions Gate. Okay, so while you guys are still pulling cards, which by the way, I highly encourage, continue pulling those cards for those Lions Gate messages. I'm gonna have a little sip of water because I think my tea is still the temperature of lava. So I want to talk about channeling. Okie dokie. Man, my hair is so dry today. It's like huge and frizzy. Like all my waves have turned to frizz. But anyway, um, okay, channeling. So I want to preface this with saying that I am just offering you the perspective on how I learned to channel, how I discovered my own ability to channel. I also believe that everyone channels. We just don't know that we're channeling sometimes. Even I would say the most 10 ego 3D person on the planet channels. They just don't know in what way they are channeling, or even being aware that they channel. So yes, we can look to like people who have honed that talent. People like Abraham Hicks, the Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar. There is the what's his name? He channels the Palladian Council. We have Elizabeth April, who is able to channel a lot of different things, and the Galactic Federation. There's Magenta Pixie, who I think is the White Wing Nine, or I forget, but we have all these wonderful channelers that people watch on YouTube and sometimes television, and people may say, wow, they're so great, that they must be special. And I don't believe that they're special. I think that's something that is driven home in the movies that we watch, in the television shows. When we watch like superhero movies, or like the X-Men, that it's always a special group of people. They always say they're special, and that's the only reason they can do what they can do. Or even in the movie The Matrix, that helped actually to wake up a lot of people. Even The Matrix itself, the movie, had to have a little bit of programming in there in order to make it suitable for audiences. And some of that programming is that there was Neo. Neo was one. He was special, and that there could only be one special person, and everybody else could not be like Neo. That's the programming. And in reality, everybody's Neo. Everybody's the superhero. Nobody needs to get bit by a radioactive spider to become Spider-Man. We are all these things innately because that's how we are born. We are star seeds. We are spiritual beings. We all have soul. That means that we are all special. That there is no special one. There is no this person was chosen, for something. And I do believe that people can hone their abilities for sure. You can have somebody who never ran a day of track and field in their life, could be like the slowest runner on the planet, but if they train and practice, they may realize, hey, I actually had a talent for running, and I can hone this ability because it's in all of us. We have all of this, and if we don't have legs to run, there's another way. We can go in our wheelchairs. We can all move forward quickly if we wanted to. So that the thing is, it's in each and every one of us. That's what I want to say. We can all channel. It's just understanding ourselves to the degree where we're like, oh, I've been channeling this whole time. I didn't realize I was channeling, but that's just the point we get to in our journey. And like I said before, all of our journeys are different. We all have different perspectives. So every channel is going to have a different perspective, which is fabulous. The way that we channel is going to be different. Um, and so, in me talking to you guys, I'm just going to say the way that I did it. And maybe that will help somebody. Maybe it won't. Maybe it just like opens, I don't know, a new avenue for you to look into with your own energy, your own soul, and your own journey. And for some people's journeys, it's not to hone their channeling ability, and that's fine too, because everybody's journey is different. In my journey, it is part of my purpose to hone my channeling ability and anything else that I find, that I'm able to do, but just have to rediscover how I have to do it. Um, let's see. Mana said, it's just about making the choice, red pill or the blue pill. Exactly. And by the way, welcome. um, I would say when I started channeling for YouTube, I think it's been a year now. But I started channeling a little bit before then, and it actually happened while I was reading tarot. Obviously, I still read tarot. I mean, we were just reading cards for the Lion's Gate, but tarot was my permission slip to connect to my own intuition. All of these tools that we have, they're all permission slips to connect to our own intuition. For me, tarot was that permission slip, because at first I was a little scared of my intuition. When I grew up, I grew up in with all the programming that ghosts can be scary, there's demons out there, there's devils and whatever, they're trying to steal your soul. So I was very scared of things that my ego mind couldn't rationally comprehend. Like, it didn't quite comprehend spirits because my teachers don't talk about spirits, and it's not in any textbook. um, and it only seems like it's a fringe group of people that ever talk about it, including my nana. So it was like, just wasn't something that was accepted. And even though I would get intuition about things, like I would feel like something's going to happen, and it would normally happen, or I'd get something in my dreams and then my dream would come true. It scared me because there was no explanation in this 3D realm. I would tell people about it and they're like, "Well, you think you're psychic or something?" And so, but that's the programming, to get people to believe that that is something that isn't normal. Like, normal people aren't psychic. Like, normal people don't have intuition. Normal people don't see spirits. But that's the ego program, trying to keep anybody who could ever maybe wake up, to keep them from waking up by keeping them in a fear state. If you stay fearful about demons, about even angels, or staying fearful about spirits, or chupacabras, or whatever it may be, then you'll never want to understand more because it's so scary. Um, I stayed curious, even though I was scared. I was still curious. I still wanted to know more. So eventually, fast forward to me being in adulthood. Um, this is about 2006. I had a tarot deck that I had in college back in like 2000. But I never really used it because I would get really freaked out whenever I'd try to use it. And I didn't quite know all the definitions yet. And I thought I needed to like have this like worldly, like esoteric, I need to know like everything and every piece of symbology in the tarot before I can actually begin reading tarot. But it was interesting because I would pick up a card, like let's say this King of Pentacles card, and I would look at it, and I would look at the image, and I would just get a feeling of what the message would be, and it would be usually in alignment of what the book meaning would be, but with a little bit more, beyond what the book could comprehend. And so at first I didn't trust it because I was like, I'm not getting the book meaning. So maybe this is wrong. When actually it was the reverse. I should have been listening to my intuition instead of just reading, from a book. But I eventually got that, when I got more comfortable doing tarot readings. And actually, I can thank my ex-boyfriend for this. Is he used to have me help him out at the Del Mar Fair in San Diego, and his company used to have a booth there. And so when I was a high school teacher, so when we'd go on summer break, I would help him during the summer at the booth. And so he said, "Why don't you start practicing like with people that you don't know, like strangers, and just start reading for them?" And he says, "And this is like the perfect place to do it because it's loud. Nobody's really paying attention to what anybody's doing individually because everybody's like so overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh, like buy a hot tub, buy solar, buy anybody who's been to a fair understands, like, there's a lot going on." So I was like, okay. And so I had gosh, what deck was I using? um what's the name of it? It's an old 80s deck, the Voyager Tarot. I had the Voyager Tarot, and I'm slinging cards. And since people were wanting messages so fast, and I was just doing it for free. I was just doing it for practice. These were people who were waiting to talk to my ex-boyfriend. So while they were waiting for him, I was like, "Hey, you want a tarot reading?" They're like, okay, but we're here for window tint." And I'm like, "Okay, well, while you wait for your discussion on window tint, let's do a tarot reading." And and I had to go fast, which meant I couldn't rely on the book that I brought with me because I was gonna like read the definitions in the book, and I was like, okay, I don't have any time for the book. So I was like, boom, I'd look at the card and be like, and I just went with it. I just like went with whatever was coming to mind. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And these people were like, oh my gosh, like you're so on point. And so after that, I felt a little bit more confident, but I was like, oh, maybe the people were just being nice to me. So I started doing it for teachers, like my coworkers. Um, and so it'd be during my lunch break, and some of the teachers would come in my classroom and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm shuffling my tarot cards." I'm like, "Hey, you want me to do a reading for you?" They're like, "Why are all English teachers weird?" I'm like, "Because we are." "So you want me to do a reading for you?" and and again, I wouldn't use the book. I was just going off of what I felt. And so, along with that, it wasn't just reading cards, but I had also started a daily meditation practice. That's actually the key. It wasn't just reading cards, it was meditation the same way, but now I see it through different eyes. Yes. She said the first time I was asleep. And Silver Star says it just didn't connect with me, I guess. Susie says, I think you already were awake, which is why. Yeah. And Liesel got temperance. A Johnson on, it's gotta hit your intuition in some way, I feel. Ooh, Lisa pulling the Fool card, which is like, yeah, kind of like what we're talking about here, just kind of like going for it, right? So that meditation practice, I started watching these YouTubers like New Age Hipster, Ethany, Avalon Cameron. There were so many others. I can't even name them all right now, but I would just watch their channels and I was just like so amazed on how fast they were with those cards. But they always talked about meditation. And I had tried meditating when I was a teenager, because I had these like friends who go the quite the way we thought it would go. But I thought I would try. Yeah, like my mind travels a mile a minute. It's probably why I talk so fast. It's just my ego mind like goes blah 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 all the time, and I felt like I needed something to help turn that off, or at least silence it a little bit, to make that intuition that I get when I pull cards more clear. So I tried doing it before bed. I'd sit up in bed, I close my eyes, I try to meditate, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to sleep. And dude, this happened for like 6 months to a year. I would always just fall asleep just trying to meditate. I would start to get to a place of peace, and then I'd be like, and my ex would be like, hey, you went to sleep again. Why don't you just lay down and go to bed? I'm like, okay. Um, and so then I was telling him I'm trying to meditate. And by then I started going to my acupuncturist that became a good friend of mine. And she was like, meditation is not just sleeping. She goes, you have to try to keep yourself awake. And I was like, gosh, I don't know how to do this. And she's like, why don't you try guided meditation of falling asleep? I'm still trying to figure out what works for me. I'm trying to do meditation while getting my acupuncture. I tried doing meditation while I was gardening. I tried meditating when I was at the gym, pumping iron. I tried different playing music. And I was listening to Lindsay Sterling, who she's like a fiddler. She like plays the violin, she plays the fiddle. Um, and I love her music. Like it just feels like you're in the forest and you're in this magical I felt like I was starting to get something for 30 minutes. And I didn't fall asleep. More detailed with it. Oh, hold on. It says we're getting a very bad connection here. Hopefully that going on these journeys with music that I finally I finally felt like what was my higher self starting to speak to me. Like like I started getting clips from movies, pieces, lyrics from music that I would listen to that place. So then now fast forward, I'd been reading tarot for like professionally since 2000, what the heck was it, 2009, I think, maybe, yeah. It was 2009 I started actually reading professionally. And I was so nervous at first because now I'm like, oh my gosh, people are going to be paying money for my readings. What if I'm wrong? I had to focus on my confidence and having to heal that because I grew up being not very, very confident. I started them and I realized at some point, James was like, I think you're channeling. And I was like, you know what? I said, time I finished telling my mom or dad or my friend, whoever, what the story was, it's channeling. Before it wasn't about me not using tarot cards anymore. It's like they are doing this. This is what it's like. It would just be easier if we spoke through you. And at first I was like, whoa, whoa. I don't know. It's so I came up with myself. It's not something you're gonna find on the internet or read in a book. It's just something you being tarot with. It's like polarities, like to being. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking up there. I was looking up there. Um, so you know, bring me somebody who's are still somebody who's are still for so long, because otherwise it's trying to pop in and it's trying to be like what's being said, because otherwise it's trying to pop in and it's trying to be like what's being said, what should I say next? Maybe I should say this, because if I ever do, he's following me around, instead of putting up a instead of putting up a shield and saying I'm afraid of hold on. The matrix must have been messing with the live chat. No, Angela is here. Hey, she says blessings and hugs, everyone. How all is well today. Hope all is well today. May love and light and angel hugs be with you today. Um, channeling, that is it in a nutshell. Basically, I just had to get really good at understanding how I personally meditate. I had to understand how my ego works and the ways it can be deceptive. So I had to do a lot of shadow work, had to do a lot of healing, which I continue to do. I had to understand how my don't know what you guys are saying. Like what the heck? um oh um oh oh, I think it just caught up. Whoa, your guys about how to do shadow work a bit differently now. But if you're interested, about how to do shadow work a bit differently now. But if you're interested, definitely go check out constantly. Like, and that's um I Akashic records. I go into what Patrick was. Why is that demon? Let's see, tech glitches and trouble. Donation readings. So whatever people want to do, people want to do. Um, but yeah, so that way we could still get our readings done today. Readings done today. Like people are having difficulty do so. I'll just heal the part of myself that I thank you all for showing up here today. I love you all, and I'll catch you